Before we move on to the next thing, I just wanted to say, so introducing the next person is the equivalent of introducing like Wayne Gretzky or Michael Jordan for me. So this guy, not only does he live right here in Toronto, he's also one of the core developers for Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is really the main reason we're all here. It's the reason people talk about blockchain. So please help me welcome Peter Todd.
Great example of how little some people care about sports. I would also be not that like that. So I thought it would be kind of interesting to maybe talk a little bit about how I got dragged, really how I got dragged into the scalability debate. And I thought I'd kind of do it right from the very beginning, which is, how did I end up getting into crypto in the first place? What actually got me interested into this stuff? And where did I kind of first learn this? And if you go back quite a ways, this would be around 2000, 2001 or so. I was off in high school. My rather libertarian parents in many ways were feeding me all kinds of political propaganda. And I thought freedom was a great thing. So when I heard about the Freenet project, which was a decentralized really data publishing network, I thought that sounded kind of cool. And at the time, I knew a bit about programming, but I didn't really understand much about crypto. So learning how Freenet actually worked, well, that was kind of my first intro to crypto. And, chances are no one in this audience has heard of Freenet before, at least maybe a dozen people at most, but essentially the idea with it was you have a network of nodes, and if I wanted to publish something on the network, I would send it to the network, and then the nodes would essentially self-organize to figure out who would specialize in what data, and some nodes would specialize in certain data, other nodes would specialize in other data, all done randomly, with hashing and so on. And long story short, what we call this a distributed hash table. And the idea is that I can make requests to one of my peers, we'll find a peer who might know where that data is, and so on, and I can get my data. Not entirely unlike, say, how internet writing works. And the key thing that this really depends on is, one, you got to be able to assign data. So if I go publish something, I want to be able to publish something again under the same name. Another one is to encrypt everything, because being a network for privacy, we don't want node operators being held liable for what data they're storing. So I learned all that stuff, and I thought it was all well and good, but when your dad's an economist, you start thinking, it would be really cool. Why don't we go and add money to this Freenet thing? And I started thinking about it, and I realized this is actually very, very hard. And what's interesting is, unlike many people, I kind of had an interesting introduction to why this is hard, which is really two features of Freenet. One is, how do you go publish something that changes on a decentralized network? Well, Freenet's solution is you have identities, and the identities can sign a message saying, all right, this version of this website, whatever it is, supersedes this other version. And the idea is that a Freenet node should look at the version numbers and say, oh, okay, well, that's a higher version number, so I'm going to throw away that data, I'm going to replace it with that data. That's all well and good. And I should be able to publish my website, it'll spray around the nodes, and hopefully my new version will be published. The other thing Freenet did was kind of weird and a little obscure, which is it had this idea of a key space. So I could say maybe readme.txt. Now I could take that word and turn it into a private key and act kind of like this whole publishing thing, but anchored in a key. Well, updating such a thing doesn't make any sense, so it was rather whichever node saw first. Well, sure enough, with Freenet, readme.txt, there was some objectionable image or something I thought would be kind of a cool project to replace an image. So I went to what's, I now know is called Sybil attack, and I set up my computer to connect to every Freenet node I could find and repeatedly try to go update this thing. Essentially, I was changing the consensus of the Freenet network. But hang on a second, if I were able to change it, how could you even say Freenet had consensus in the first place? Why should some 14-year-old in his basement be able to go and change the state of the entire computer network? And when I started thinking more about digital money, I realized, well, obviously this is a big problem. And that somehow got me onto what's I'd entirely forgotten this existed, but the Blue Sky mailing list, which was a bunch of other people trying to think, all right, where can we go next from freenet? Well, sure enough, as it turns out, I was talking with Dad and Back and Hal Finney about all this stuff, and most of us kind of came to the conclusion that like, this is actually really hard. Because obviously, like, we just showed that on freenet, how do you get consensus on a computer network? You know, nodes don't have identities. I can just go spin up as many nodes as I want. Right? I mean, what's the way to do this? But interestingly, I think where we really went wrong was we were actually more focused on inflation. Because, of course, Dad and Back and come up with this idea of Hashcash. You do this artificially hard computer problem, and that limits how many things you do something like, say, sending an email. I mean, we all kind of watched on Hashcash and thought, great, I mean, what a better way to base our currency than artificially hard computer problems. You know, it's beautiful, it's mathematical, it's totally distinct from trust or anything. And, you know, in hindsight, it's kind of interesting because we were all focused on inflation. We were focused on monetary policy. And we spent a lot of time thinking about that, but we weren't really focusing on how do you actually control spend? You know, how do we come to consensus on a network? And this also kind of gets down to like data structures. If you go back to the cryptography of the late 90s, early 2000s, everything was flat. In the sense that if I sign a message, I'm signing the whole message. If I'm going and signing a statement, I'm signing the whole statement. If I want that statement for other statements, I make more signatures, I make more attestations. But nowhere do I ever commit to things. And Bitcoin completely reverses this, and it's all based on commitments. Which gets to really, I think, the key thing I and so many other people missed. With Hashcash, you can commit to something. You can destroy energy and commit to that thing you want. You're irrevocably binding that, destroying that energy to that bit of data. We all miss that, funny enough. So when I first saw Bitcoin, and my experience on this isn't unique, and when I read the white paper, I thought, oh shit, I should have thought that. You know, because it was just a complete reversal of the way we were thinking about things. We were thinking about Hashcash in terms of inflation, creating this valuable thing. But when you think about it, that wasn't actually the hard part. The hard part was preventing it from being counterfeited. So, anyway, I mean, that was quite a few years later, and in between, I somehow wound up getting an arts degree and doing analog electronics design and physics. But by the time I saw Bitcoin again, well, I was pretty excited. On the other hand, I was also working at a startup and trying to do a physics degree at the same time. It wasn't really a good way to use my time, apparently, but at the time, I spent most of my time on physics and not so much my time on Bitcoin. So, you know, a few years of that, I mean, I first read about Bitcoin in 2009 or so, maybe late 2009, I'm not quite sure, but it took me a while to finally get some more time and look at it again. When I finally got some time to really sit down and look at it properly, the next thing I kind of realized was, you know, this doesn't scale. And, you know, back when I was 14, we were having such hard problems trying to think through how to make electronic cash. I mean, after all, I first looked at 14, or 15, 16 or so, you know, many years after. You know, we couldn't even like begin to solve this double spend problem. None of us were really thinking about scaling. You know, our precedent was things like e-money and e-gold and Shangin tokens and so on, where you have a trusted server. Well, when you have a trusted server, you just assume that we'll throw money at the problem, make it scale. You know, if they need to buy 10 more servers to do 10 times more transactions, great, no big deal. But in Bitcoin, once you solve this problem, you start thinking, well, how do we do more transactions per second? And initially, and it's maybe a little embarrassing to say this, but you know, when I read the Bitcoin wiki, I remember seeing Mike Hearn's page on scalability and thinking, well, you know, these arguments that maybe we'll have big data centers and we'll use this thing called SPV and all this, they seem all kind of reasonable. I mean, we'll put the data in a bunch of really fast nodes and we'll use clients that'll connect to the fast nodes and surely that'll work. And it took me a while to realize, well, hang on a second, why does Bitcoin work? You know, why does this anti-double spend thing work? And that's kind of when I started arguing with Gavin on Bitcoin Talk. And really my first contribution to it, which really was more of an interesting explanation than a new contribution, was this idea, well, maybe what matters is that we preserve competition. Because in the mining community, if we have one miner in Bitcoin, obviously they're the people calling the shots. They're the people able to censor transactions, delay transactions, whatever they want, they're in control. Now, if we have two miners, we're in a better position. If we have three, we're a little better at someone. At some point, there's going to be diminishing returns, but in the big scale thing, we want more miners and fewer miners. Simply because that creates fewer single points of failure. You can argue it in more sophisticated ways, but I think that's a pretty simple argument there. And my discussion with Gavin was essentially, well, all right, this block size limit. What happens if we get rid of it? And if we get rid of it, how do I become a miner? Well, if I'm a big miner and there's no limit, what's the economically rational thing for me to go do to ensure that I don't have competition? I don't want competition. I don't want the people to start mining. I want them to not compete with me. And from my perspective, well, what are my costs? I have a couple fast computers, I have a whole bunch of hashing power, but the few fast computers are a fixed overhead cost. They're my full nodes. They're the ones that actually process blocks to create the transactions. And all hashing power is just marginal costs, which are competing with everyone else. And as I knew well from my dad, years ago, he was telling me about how monopolies form and stuff like that. All right, yeah, well, obviously we want to keep the fixed cost down so people can join in. Well, hang on a second, we don't have a block size limit. If I'm the big miner, I can make everyone else's fixed costs go by making blocks bigger and bigger and bigger. And that seemed pretty obvious to me. Then my next argument was, well, hang on. What exactly happens when I find a block? I find a block, suppose all you people are miners. I want to be in a position where I am more likely to find the next block than any of you guys. Now, when I have my block get to at least half the hashing power, it's very simple argument to go say, well, hang on, I'm obviously more likely to get the next block than the rest of you guys because I have the majority. And if I have the majority in the long run, I will go find more blocks than you guys. So that should be how I optimize things. And this was actually genesis of selfish mining. Now, I wasn't the first person to notice this, but I seem to be the first person to have a really simple explanation of it. Now, the explanation is actually wrong. The effect is even worse than that. It actually happens in one third. But the beauty of it is really easy to explain and convince people. And that was then my big argument with Gavin, really how I started publicly discussing this stuff, getting into it. And that seemed like a big problem. And if you can't create a system where you have a low barrier to entry and you can keep competition up, obviously you need some other way to go scale. So my next kind of idea, and I think this would be maybe late probably early-ish to mid-2013, was, well, maybe we could go build layers on top of this. And again, I wasn't the first person to think of this, but I was one of a few people, and I kind of had this idea, well, why don't we go create a system where we change the security model a bit? And maybe we could have banks on top of the system, we could audit them. If they go do things that we don't want them to do, we'll take our money. We can go at least prove it. Not a very great security model, but I kind of wrote this out called Fidelity Bond Banking. And I think as an idea, it's not a good one, it's kind of obsolete. But what's interesting about it is sort of the big picture, which is scalability is about your security. It's really trivial to make these systems scale by going for a different security model than what Bitcoin is. Obviously, like a trust PayPal. It's a different security model, you trust in PayPal. And scaling is really easy. I just put all the code into one space, run a data center, and I don't have to go do anything. Whereas in Bitcoin, because our security model is very stringent, we have this hard scaling problem because we expect different people to be able to do a lot of things, to participate and so on. You know, we expect there to be competition in mining. And not just the competition where, you know, winner take all, but the competition where I can get into the space. So that was kind of a tricky thing to kind of get over, and I think the next best thing to kind of come out of this was really Lightning. And I would like to claim credit for having invented that idea. I'm pretty sure they came up with it independently. And you know, the idea there is simply, well, let's go change your security model to be, you go do something and you get directly punished. And I had some ideas along these lines, but they did it way better than I ever did. And the models are simple, you know. We go put money into some channel, you go do things on the channel, we can send money to each other. But if you go violate the protocol, well, nothing actually happens immediately. I now have the ability to prove to the rest of the network, hey, you know, you violated the protocol, give me all that money. The security model still isn't quite as good as Bitcoin, but it's probably reasonably good in most cases, because the give me my money back mechanism usually works. You know, and I could go into great detail about that, but you know, the trade-offs there. But I think the big point is different security model, you can get much better scaling out of it. The other part that I was then kind of looking at, and a few other people, was could we somehow go and maybe make trade-offs and kind of split up this consensus? And, you know, an analogy I like to give is, imagine I'm selling you a house. Now, it's easy enough to go verify that I'm selling you a real house. It's also easy enough to verify that I may have the title and I may be signing it off to you. You know, if we imagine a cypherpunk future where we all have PGB signed house title transfers and stuff, I'll give you a list of transfers all the way back to the part where we probably stole the land from the natives, and we can all kind of agree on who stole that land. And that series of transfers shows that yes, I may have in fact sold you house. What it doesn't prevent, though, is communism, which is that I may have also sold the house to you. And you two don't really want to share it again. Now, how can we go prevent that sharing? Well, I could publish widely the fact that I sold that house into selling it with. Because if I sell you the house first before this next guy, that next guy is going to go look at this widely published place and say, hang on a second, you know, you already sold that house. I mean, it's in the newspaper. You know, 10 of my friends know that you don't own that house anymore. I mean, why are you trying to go resell this stupid house to me? You don't own it. In cryptography terms, we can call this proof of publication. But you say we take some action, we broadcast the fact that we've taken that action very widely, and anyone who wants to know if that action could be taken already can check if that proof has been published already. And what's interesting there is, here's a thought experiment. In Bitcoin, what would happen if miners didn't validate transactions? Or maybe put a different way, what would happen if a valid block was allowed to be filled up with garbage? Now, if we're all still running full nodes, and if we're all validating everything ourselves, we can go and check to make sure that all the rules are followed and so on. In fact, that miners have checked for us is completely irrelevant. Similarly, in my house example, I mean, you know, the newspaper doesn't check who owns what house. All it's doing is saying, well, you know, there's an announcement. A person says to you, now sold this house. If you want to know whether or not that's true, you can go check all this. And you get kind of hybrid systems, like the foreign title system where you have government authorities that just say, no, that guy owns the land now. And if you don't like that, well, you can take us to court. And what's interesting there is, assuming you're willing to do the hard work of checking, your security is really based on how widely is the fact published. Now, if everyone tells everyone in the world who bought whose houses, I mean, even with housing, it would still get kind of annoying. You'd have this massive list of property transactions that you'd be running for every day. So, of course, we did the obvious thing, we split that up. You know, you don't need to know about people buying houses in Afghanistan unless you want to go buy some cheap property there. So you don't bother checking the publication records for anything. You don't care. It's not your problem. My big idea to apply this to Bitcoin was something I call tree chains, which is to say, well, why don't we go take our blockchain, and maybe we'll have an upper level one that's very, very secure and everyone can copy of. And from that, we'll anchor to lower level ones, say half the world having a copy, and just go down as binary tree, a quarter of the people in the world have a copy and so on. This seems like an obvious trade-off to me. And it can be the most secure, but limited space, or go less and less secure. I think as a principle it's kind of all right, but you still get this other problem, which is how do you verify all that history? You know, as an example, this quarter in my pocket, if I were to give this to you, due to the nature of the physical coin, you don't have to verify all the transactions that went through. You don't care how many other people already had it, because its validity is kind of self-evident. But a digital quarter, you can't do that. This digital quarter is just a bunch of bits. You got to verify all those transactions. In the case of the quarter, I don't know what velocity money is these days, but I would be surprised if it was this in 2012. I mean, even this has probably gone through a few thousand people's hands. In Bitcoin, the kind of amount of data you have there is gigabytes and gigabytes worth. So the current big challenge for that type of thinking on scalability is really, how do you compress that? How do you get it smaller? And frankly, that's kind of the part where, unfortunately, I'm going to just say, I don't really have the answer yet. We may have stuck with fancy math techniques like ZK snarks. We've got some ideas, let's say transaction history linearization, which again subtly changed the security model. But we're not really sure where any of that stuff goes. So I'd say in conclusion, the reality is there's good reason why this scaling debate's so hard. It's ultimately about security models. And my own personal journey seeing this has really gone from arguing over digital currency systems that were all centralized and trying to come up with an improvement, realizing it's actually really hard, and gradually kind of going on from there to the point where we are now, which is, Bitcoin is a limited capacity. You can kind of tweak it one way or the other. But I think most people, working in the tech, we know we can't tweak it too far. We really got to somehow change how that algorithm works. Maybe changing the security model, hopefully not. And that's kind of where I am at today. So, thank you.
Do we have any questions for Peter while we have him on stage? Okay, so we'll
we have a question right
go
here.
ahead. Hello.
Okay, Peter, welcome back. Question is, what's your public opinion about Ethereum today? The state of Ethereum, if we can. 2 minutes or less. Please.
Well, so I will slightly mishear the question and say, I think it's actually very interesting where they're going very soon, which is they're trying to go scale by sharding, by taking up that state space and splitting into many different pieces. And I would argue that Ethereum of today, it obviously doesn't scale. Just like Bitcoin, it obviously doesn't scale, but it's even harder to make scale than Bitcoin. So for me personally, all my research efforts have always been on systems that build on top of unscalable systems. On the other hand, what's coming up next, this research in trying to make Ethereum scale by sharding, that's potentially very interesting. Although, I think the big issue there is what are they going to do to the security model? I would argue that I think the Ethereum team has been very willing to accept very different types of security models than Bitcoin. They're quite willing to go say, well, the DAO attack happens, let's go and just change the rules to make it unhappen. And I think that's not really a security model that the Bitcoin team's that interested in. Similarly, proof of stake, the model they're going with requires you to somehow get relatively recent history to be able to say, all right, maybe you don't necessarily know what the state of Ethereum is this very moment, but we can all somehow agree that maybe 3 months ago, this hash represents who owned what money. We don't actually have a technical way to come to consensus on that hash. We'd rather maybe go to Reddit and go to Twitter and see what people are saying. I'm very skeptical about the kind of security model. On the other hand, if you are willing to use a model like that, I think there's good reason to think Ethereum sharding thing could actually go work. And I'll probably end up writing a whole lot more on that. But I'm not going to necessarily say it won't work. It's just different.
Do we have any other questions? Yeah.
Hi, Peter. How does CLTV, your creation, check lock time verify, and check sequence verify, CSV, play into the role of the improvement of the scalability on the Bitcoin network? Also, can you please comment on Mimblewimble, if you can?
Well, so I think it's important to remember that CLTV, which is the check lock time verify, that long story short means you can create Bitcoins that are locked until a particular time in the future. On a technical level, everything done by CSV, which is check sequence verify, which says, well, we'll create Bitcoins that after the outputs created are locked for a certain amount of time. CSV does everything CLTV can do, in reality. And kind of the difference is like saying, well, if I gave you a check, sure, I could go enter in the date and say, all right, the check isn't actually valid until, say, 6 months from now. But if I can make a check that magically knows when it was created, well, given I know when I'm going to create the check, the feature of having a check that is only valid at a specific time in the future is basically obsolete. It's sometimes useful, but for the most part, everything with the CSV can do everything the CLTV can do. The only reason CLTV got made was really low-level tech details and exactly how it was implemented. And essentially it's the difference between like 5 lines of code and probably 20 lines or something. But, CLTV being one of the first upgrades, feature upgrades to Bitcoin ever. I mean, I believe the only one would be P2SH, Gavin Andresen's new address format. I wasn't about to start trying to change a lot of stuff. I wanted it to be a very, very simple feature that you could definitely go argue worked. So that's that's useful. And in terms of scaling, well, this all gets down to transaction malleability. And for scaling payment channels, where you lock up funds, and then I can go send money to you, or you can send money to me by signing transactions that could be valid if we chose to accept them. To make that secure, you always need a refund. You always need a way to get your money back if the other guy gets hit by a bus or just decides to hold your money hostage. Being able to have funds that unlock after a period of time is very essential to this. And without fixing transaction malleability, you basically have to do this in the output itself. If SegWit was already implemented, we wouldn't actually need CLTV or CSV anywhere near as much, but because SegWit doesn't exist yet, it didn't at the time, that's kind of how that progression happened. And, again, it kind of gets down to code complexity. Like, 5 lines of code could enable a lot. SegWit's probably 150 lines of code is even better, but that's kind of where things come from.
So thank you, Peter. We have one last question right here.
All right. Do you want to hear about Mimblewimble? I can summarize that one very quickly. Mimblewimble is mostly about compacting old history. So it's very cool. It means your node can go start up very quickly, but it doesn't actually directly solve scaling, in the sense that it doesn't change the cost of running a node all that much. It changes the cost of starting a node, but you still have to process every transaction. So it's pretty cool, but it's not there yet.
Okay, one last question right here.
Hi, recently it's been reported that Bitcoin Unlimited nodes take up approximately like 23% of the network, whereas SegWit is around 21%. Because there's a time limit for the integration of SegWit, what do you see as the actual future of SegWit?
I think the 20% numbers you're talking about are actually block signaling it, not number of nodes. And number of nodes is the kind of thing where, you know, I could go and triple the number of SegWit nodes tomorrow by paying a bunch of money to Amazon EC2. You know, it's not hard to make that number go up and down. Whereas making the number of hashing power go up and down costs actual real money. And as for what that means for SegWit, you know, I don't really know yet. Like, I was at the Sochi Roundtable a few weeks, 2.5 weeks ago, and one, you know, a lot of discussion was about SegWit and where it would kind of go, and you know what was blocking it and so on. And maybe the most valuable thing to come out of that meeting was the recognition that SegWit is getting blocked on purely political reasons. You know, no one believe, you know, at least in that kind of community, and I think that's fairly true for wider tech community. Pretty much no one thinks that SegWit shouldn't happen for technical reasons. There's some exceptions, but I think some of those exceptions don't really know what they're talking about or are trolling. And the biggest opposition there is, you know, miners who I think want to get an upper hand in the politics of it. And I think it's kind of interesting in how Bitcoin Unlimited, this whole emergent consensus idea, you know, you get straight back to the discussion I was having with Gavin and Drayson in 2013 about block size and what the incentives were, which is that you don't have a block size limit. And, you know, emergent consensus is a very extreme example of not having a block size limit. It becomes very difficult for miners to compete on even terms. Now, you know, if I'm the guy running, say, Antpool, and I collectively have a big chunk of Bitcoin hashing power, you know, I probably want this, because this lets me go bully my competitors. You know, if someone comes into Bitcoin with this emergent consensus thing, I can keep them guessing as to what the rules actually are. You know, I can get them wasting hashing power on mining blocks that are going to get superseded by my emergent consensus bigger block set of rules. You know, I mean, Bitcoin Unlimited has even gone to the extent where they disable transaction validation entirely for old history. So in certain circumstances, you can even force a very radical rule change, like saying, well, I'm going to increase the amount of Bitcoins created per block. And you get this month period of confusion, but Bitcoin Unlimited knows to start accepting those blocks. And in fact, due to sheer technical reason, they'll even accept them without, you know, a month of delay, but that's a whole other matter. So, you know, I think once we're talking about politics, it's really hard to tell. And I think to answer your question, what you really got to think is what will happen if these politics drag on. You know, for instance, SegWit has a time limit, but that's not to say you can't go and just create, you know, SegWit version 2 that's identical to version 1, but with a different time limit. You know, there's also ways where you can have a soft fork with less than 95% hashing power support. Now, do we want to go take some of these routes? I don't really think so. It'd be much easier to just come to consensus, but you know, I think we're going to see in the next couple months what is actually done there. And unfortunately, I don't have clear answers there.